Hey everyone, this is Steve, and today we're looking at a texture comparison from Grand Theft Auto 5. This is an article I wrote and published the other day. If you're interested in this, the article is linked in the description below. So I went into GTA 5 and I tested out the three separate settings for texture resolution. There's normal, high, and very high, and that's it. The biggest impact that these make is generally going to be in the VRAM side, and I've got a chart here that shows RAM consumption based on which setting you're using, and it is a delta over normal. So normal is 0. We basically we null out the other settings because texture resolution has an identical impact across all resolutions and settings. So normal is effectively 0. That means it's your baseline, and then high is an added 796 megabytes consumed, and very high is an added 891. So the difference between high and very high is pretty small. It's about 100 megabytes for VRAM consumption. So here's a couple of screenshots showing the texture differences, and I've got these were taken in 4K, and I did not scale down anything in the article. This is all explained. In the video, we've got a scale for the 1080 YouTube limit, so that is an obvious issue here, but you can still see the differences. And the bump map is enumerated a little bit differently depending on the lighting. That's something I couldn't really control for that well, but you can still see how huge a difference very high has over high, especially in the dumpster screenshot, which is what you're looking at now with the hobo tag on the dumpster. And just very high and high alone have a big difference. And then normal is a huge difference, but it makes it perform on pretty much everything. It really helps a lot with performance on VRAM limited devices and IGPs. And then we've got benchmarks. So here is where you can see the performance difference for all the settings at 1080p with a 270X and at 4K with a Titan X. As you can see, effectively there is zero difference. This is all within margin of error. 1 FPS is not something that's outside of margin of error. So that is sort of the quick test we did on texture resolution impact in GTA 5. Huge visual difference and very little FPS difference. Obviously, VRAM consumption is a concern if you're on a 1 gigabyte device or an IGP, but if you're using anything larger than that, I would say just push for very high, even if you have to force the ignore suggestions option, because it's really not worth sacrificing the fidelity of very high for an extra 100 megabytes of VRAM. You're probably not going to notice even if you have to ignore the suggested limits, because the suggested limit is for maximum peak VRAM consumption, not the average or normal VRAM consumption. And to that end, it means that you're very rarely actually going to be hitting that number. And when you do, it might be a little bit of tearing, but that's about it. So that is all for this video. Check the channel for more GTA 5 videos. Subscribe if you like this content, and I will see you all next time.